Hey guys, it's Ben here, aka Benjamin Theodore. It's been a while, but I'm back with another video and welcome to my new home studio in the Algarve, Portugal. 1.5 months ago, I moved my family here to the Algarve in Portugal to enjoy spending more time together, spending more time outdoors, having more time, energy, freedom to make music, to enjoy life. And it's been a really hectic but a great time since we've been here. Now finally things are slowly settling down and it's getting a little easier. And I'm back to making a lot of music as well. So it's been a long time since I've made a video. I think it's been more than 2 months, but I've been moving, I've been traveling, and now basically I'm living sort of a digital nomad music producer life. And I wanted to bring you along for the ride. I wanted to show you how I've been making music, because I've been making great stuff, really awesome stuff. I've been recording and working on old music, but new music as well. And I just wanted to give you a little sneak peek of that, and also share with you how you can leverage some equipment and DAWs, plugins, stuff like that to make pro sounding music wherever you are. So I really felt inspired this morning to share this with you and to hopefully help you a little bit, because I know you guys are making a lot of music yourself as well, but you might be struggling to get the sound that you're looking for with the basic equipment that you have. Well, I've been making music from all sorts of studios, bedrooms, kitchens, cars, planes for the last 20 years almost. In fact, 2 days ago I was sitting in a tow truck because my car needed maintenance and it needed to be towed all the way to Lisbon, 270 kilometers away. So I was sitting in a tow truck and I was still making music on my laptop. And so the great thing is you can make music anywhere. You can make music with very basic stuff, but you need to know what you're doing. And I just wanted, long story short, I want to bring you along a little bit today and to share with you some advice and some show you just basically how I do that to and help you get better results. So first of all, I'm literally in my bedroom as we speak. You might hear the sound. That is why one of the first things I bought when I arrived here, because I only could bring a little bit of stuff, is an SM7B. This bad boy right here. And it's really been helpful with vocal recordings, because I also brought my condenser mic. But I haven't been using that because it just picks up too much sound, and there's construction sometimes outside, construction noise. And with this SM7B, I can just record anywhere, and it has a great tone. And I'm going to show you in a little bit how I process that sound, because I know some of you are using SM7Bs as well, but you're getting a dull sound. It's really muffled. Or it's too quiet, so I'm going to share a little bit about that. And one thing that I bought as well, this is going to be just a little update video as well, is this great new guitar. It's a PRS Silver Sky SE, John Mayer signature model, and it has been on my list for a while, but I didn't actually think that I was going to buy it this quickly. But I only brought an acoustic guitar, and I really felt inspired to record some music that required an electric guitar. So I saw this one, it was on sale, so I tested it out and I ordered it almost immediately, and it's a great guitar. I have a Fender Strat at home. It's 27 years old, and with home I mean it's in storage back in the Netherlands, so I can't play that right now. So I needed an electric guitar. What a great excuse to buy one. And this one, it's not 27 years old, it's brand new, and it's really precise guitar. I heard John Mayer say that it's the Silver Sky is like a Strat, a high definition Strat. So like it's a HD, like a Strat 2.0, and I think that perfectly fits the description, or it matches the guitar, because it really is very accurate sounding. It plays very precise. Even things like, it is maybe a little bit of guitar nerdy talk, but the bridge pickup are usually on a Strat that can be quite bright and a little bit brittle, but this one is very usable and it's really balanced. So I think it's a great guitar, especially for the money. So yeah, I've been using that. I'm going to play some recordings for you where I've been using this Strat as well. So those are basically like the updates, stuff that I have here. I'm going to do a little overview video. Is the my interface, my audio fuse interface that I brought along. It's really, it packs a lot of stuff in a small box, and it's basically too much. I tried to sell it back in the Netherlands, but no one wanted to buy it, so I just brought it along. Preferably, I'm thinking about buying like the small Apollo Solo that I used in my studio back in the Netherlands, and that one is so tiny and so portable that I can just take it with me anywhere I go, and it doesn't require any power adapters, which this audio fuse does require, so that's a little bit cumbersome. And you might notice that there aren't any speakers or studio monitors behind me. Well, that's correct. My studio monitors are also in storage, and they were too big to bring in the car, so I only brought 2 pair of headphones. And these ones, the Olo Audio headphones, they are my go-to, and I couldn't live without them. I can honestly say I can make mixes on these that translate to PMC speakers, 50,000 euro PMC speakers perfectly well. I can, so with these pair of headphones I can make great sounding music anywhere. So if there's anything that I would recommend, is that you buy a really great pair of headphones. These are open back, so when you're in a tow truck or in a plane, you hear a lot of noise still, but they are really flat and accurate, so you hear exactly what you're doing. The mixes that I get out of these are sounding very balanced, almost a little bit dark, but I like that because in mastering, the mastering engineer can make it brighter in a way that's very controlled. So it's better to get a little bit duller mixes, because you can always turn up the brightness a little bit, than to get harsh or too bright sounding mixes, because that's hard to correct. And I also brought my pair of closed back headphones. These are just Biodynamic DT770 Pros for a vocal recording. Honestly, the SM7B doesn't pick up a lot of things outside of the front, so if you listen to your music really quietly, you can still use the open back headphones. I've accidentally used that and still got great results, but these are great for vocal recordings, and if you want to really isolate yourself from the sound of the room. So that's basically what I've been using. I brought an acoustic guitar, I've brought my condenser mic, as I mentioned, with which I haven't used yet. And I didn't bring a MIDI keyboard, so why don't we just dive into my Logic session, and let me just show you how I've been recording music, and give you some advice on what you should focus on if you are struggling to get great sounding recordings or great sounding mixes from your home studio. Alright, so this is my Logic session for a song that started out as U2 Rock Idea 1. I was fiddling with some rock riffs, and this sort of came out. I wanted to try some U2 inspired stuff, and this happened. when I was in a flow state for 4 hours straight. I didn't look up or down from my computer screen other than to look at my guitar, because in 4 hours I recorded and wrote, produced, mixed this entire song. It's not entirely finished yet, but I'm going to play it for you to give you an idea. Okay, so yeah, that's a little bit of the intro and the first verse. And the thing is, since I don't have like a full studio here with all kinds of instruments, not even like a bass guitar or a MIDI keyboard, I had to be creative and use Logic as my blank canvas and my instrument. And there were, of course, some live things, but most of the stuff that you hear, besides guitars and vocals, is programmed, is MIDI. So it started out with the drum loop that I programmed. And so what you really have to think about when you are creating music from home that you want to sound professional is what kind of ingredients do you need, and how can you make those ingredients sound polished and sound professional. And if they don't sound professional, think about what's still missing, what is lacking, what is wrong, and analyze that and come up with solutions. Think like an engineer, think creatively. And so for this particular track, there were some ingredients that I needed: drums, bass, guitars, and there aren't any keys in this song, no, and vocals. So vocals I had covered because I have the SM7B. You can record anywhere with that mic and still have it sounding great. Drums I have covered because I'm using SSD 5. That's this one. It's MIDI drums, but the key to having this sound natural and to having this sound professional is knowing what to play. So if you're not a drummer, I am a drummer. I've been playing drums since I was 6 years old. So I know what I want it to sound like. But if you're not a drummer, you can use the grooves that come with those virtual instruments, but they are just really basic and really straightforward. Or you can ask a friend of yours that is a drummer to program it, or hire someone through Fiverr who can play drums. With my song going back to California, I've hired a drummer that just does session work in his own studio, and I told him what I wanted and what I was looking for exactly, and he just recorded it for me, and that's what you hear on the record. So that's not really expensive, but that way you can get access to professional sounding drums. So but if budget is an issue, which of course I understand, then use something like this, SSD 5. Even the built-in drums from Logic itself are great. You just have to know how to program them. So it still sounds a little bit fake, of course, but what I did, I tried to make it sound as natural as possible by adjusting the velocities. So I literally played this by using the the built-in musical typing in Logic. So just with my keyboard, I use that as a MIDI controller. So that's great if you're using Logic or another DAW that has that function. But then if you're using musical typing, then all the velocities are the same. So you have to manually go in and adjust them. So of course it's still a little bit robotic sounding, but that also fits the song because it's a really driving rock song. So I've got that covered. I still need to program some additional fills and stuff like that, but then I have the drums covered. What I also did was use the Manley Very Mu compressor. That was a recent addition to the Universal Audio subscription, the Spark subscription, which I'm using, and this has been an amazing compressor. I absolutely love it. It's also on my mix bus as the first insert. I'm just doing a little bit of compression with the high pass sidechain filter on, so all the low end doesn't get compressed. Really great. For me, let me show you the mixer here. I'm using very few plugins. Normally, if you look at the sessions that I have for my album, The Eternal Optimist, I have a lot more processing going on, but this is very simply, relatively speaking. Very simple, relatively speaking. So I have just 2 plugins basically on my mix bus, the Very Mu and the Massive Passive EQ. I'm doing a little bit of cutting at 300 hertz, a little bit of boosting on 3K, and some boosting at 1K with a high shelf. So basically making it a little brighter and cutting out some low mids. And I have these plugins, but I'm not using them at the moment. So that's the mix bus. But back to drums. So I'm compressing it a little bit, and this is adding a lot of vibe, a lot of character. Without. It's adding a little bit of grit. It's blowing it up, so to speak. And then I'm adding some saturation as well with the saturation knob, which is used heavily on this rock track. Without. A little bit cleaner with. Wow. And then I'm sending it to bus 3, and bus 3 has the Sound City plugin. So it's adding a little bit of that Smells Like Teenage Spirit sound. This. Gah. So it's adding the room sound of Sound City, which is where Smells Like Teen Spirit and Nevermind by Nirvana was recorded, or Tom Petty recorded, Fleetwood Mac and bands like that. So it's adding a little bit of that flavor as well. So now I've got the drums covered. I'm still thinking of adding another kick sample because I think the kick is a little weak, but well, let's call it a day for now. Then I needed bass, so I don't have a bass guitar. So what are you going to do? I've pulled out a Moog bass, which is incredible. And this is the great thing about reducing what you're using. That's a great quote I just came up with. Because normally I would have just grabbed a bass guitar and played it on a real bass guitar, but since I don't have that, I'm required to use other instruments. So normally I wouldn't use a Moog bass for actual like bass parts, but on this track it really came out great. It was surprising. I'm using the saturation knob on that as well. I think that the glides are great. And then in the chorus I'm using a slightly different setting. It sounds very robotic when you hear it on its own, but in context okay, so that's the chorus. So it's different. There, it opens up. The lyrics are "open up the sky." So it goes from boom, that F sharp minor to E minor. That sort of riff to D major, A major, F sharp minor, E major. So that's the chorus part. So now I have drums and bass covered, and then it came to recording guitars. Well, there are a lot of guitar tracks because it's a guitar heavy track. And the first guitar that you're hearing is this one. It's the PRS Silver Sky SE on the bridge pickup, and I'm using a Vox kind of amp, the AC30 kind of simulation, and I was really going for a U2 vibe, which you've probably noticed already, especially when you're listening to the chorus. And I love that. Excuse me. I grew up listening to U2 all day, every day, and I think they're still great. They're an amazing band, and they're ingrained in my musical DNA. So I just wanted to reenact U2 basically in this song, and yeah, I just like doing that. So a lot of guitar parts. I doubled that guitar part. So if we're going back to how to make stuff sound great, is keeping it simple, but also like using production techniques like doubling. So I've used one guitar part, but if you want to make it sound big, you double that. And if you only have one guitar, you use a different pickup. So this is the neck pickup. So it's a little darker. And it's using the Vox plugin again, think almost the same setting. And then this is a great plugin as well. If you are looking for a spring reverb in your DAW and you don't have one right now, this is a free plugin that I came across from Bedroom Producer's blog, which has great information as well. And I just blended this in at 5%. So it's adding just a little bit of that spring sound, that's spring reverb sound. And then Neve 1073 just boosting a little bit of 1.6K, just that mid-range. It's adding a little bit of grit. So those are like the main guitars for the main riff. Then I added like a shimmer part, which is a very The Edge like, I must say. So how you make that is by using a just a regular guitar sound. I'm using this is the THU by Slate. Let's zoom in a little bit. It's the Champ, Fender Champ amp. And then what you do to make a shimmer sound is you add a pitch shift and you pitch it up 12 semitones, so full octave. And then you blend that in. So this is blended in at 65%. Then you add a delay on it's probably one on a dotted 8 note setting, and then you add a reverb, which preferably adds some pitch shifting as well, and then you end up with this. So it's the dry signal with a pitched added pitch shift at an octave above that with a huge reverb. That's basically how you get a shimmer effect. And then there are some other guitars. These are the chorus guitars. That's very The Edge U2 like, and I love it. Let's listen to this. Oh yeah, I can do that all day, every day, just making U2 guitar sounds. Then there's this sort of like re-intro part. This part. And it's all about, you know, filling in the gaps and making an arrangement that sounds great. So you don't need a lot of stuff, you don't need a lot of plugins, but you need like the right stuff and knowing what parts to play. That's always the case. So I already did like the rock riff, dun, 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 dun. I did the really big atmospheric the Edge U2 guitar sounds in the chorus, but then in the re-intro, which is also sort of a post-chorus, I think, I'm doing like this alternative rock sound kind of guitar. This one. I love it. So it's just a different flavor that's being introduced. So that's a way of keeping the arrangement interesting. How did I do that? Let's see. Oh yeah, these feature some pedals: tube screamer, a fuzz pedal, pitch shift. I added an octave above, blended that in. Then these are off using the JCM 800, like a Marshall type of amp, and then adding a tape delay, which is a slapback. And it's so great that you can do this in Logic with just a guitar, an interface, and a computer. You know, this is the dry sound, and you can completely transform that into anything that you want. So I think that's amazing. And what else do we have? I have a bridge section which still needs some vocals. Oh yeah, let's go to the second chorus first. Let's go to vocals first for a little bit. So we can talk guitars all day, but vocals are really important. Again, these are recorded with an SM7B, just straight into my interface. I mentioned in the beginning that some of you are using an SM7B and aren't getting great results, and with a client of mine, she was using an SM7B and her vocal sound is very muffled and very dull, and that is because the SM7B, let's be honest, is a dull sounding mic. It's a dynamic mic. It's still a condenser, or a cardioid mic, so it has a good pickup pattern, but it's a dynamic, so it's not as sensitive as a condenser mic. So you need to add some processing to make it sound good. Oh, apologies, little feedback there. And but that's also very manageable if you know what to do. If you know how to use EQ and compression, you can make anything sound great as long as the recording is decent. So if you are getting muffled sounds using an SM7B or another dynamic microphone, then try this. Let's go over my vocal chain. First, I'm using Metatune, which is like an auto-tune plugin. It's really basic, just adding some pitch correction. Then I'm adding a SSL4K plugin, which you don't necessarily need, but what I'm doing is really simple. I'm high passing at 92 Hertz, just cutting out some low lows, and then I'm boosting the high end, and that is important because, as I mentioned, it can be a dull sounding mic. Open up the sky, come and show what I remember when you shine your light. So if we disable the EQ, it sounds like this. I will lay me down, surrender. Let's loop that for a second. Open up the sky. So that's without the EQ, and it still sounds sounds okay. It doesn't sound dull, but that's because of something else that I'm going to go into in a minute. But with the EQ, open up the sky, it just sounds a little bit more open. It has a little bit more brightness, and the way you make it is it's comprehensible. You make it sound good, not sound muffled, is by using compression, because compression, if you're using it correctly, can enhance the diction, can enhance the how it translates. And I'm using a distressor. Open up the sky. And I'm adding a lot of compression here. So maybe it's nice to hear what it sounds like without any processing, just the auto-tune. Open up the sky, come and show what I remember. And in this part, I still have a brighter voice, and I'm singing quite loudly, so it's still comprehensible, but it's very dull sounding. It's not a nice sound to hear on its own. So when you add the process, now it sounds professional and it sounds polished. And I just added a bunch of compression. This is a rock song. This you can use a lot of compression on a song like this. So don't look at the meter, but just listen to how it sounds. And if it sounds great, then it sounds great. So this is the distressor, but you can use like any compressor plugin you like. And then I'm adding more saturation with the saturation knob. This just adds a lot of bite and a lot of grit in a rock song like this. Open up the sky. Saturation knob is a free plugin also, by the way, so highly recommended. And then the way you transform your vocals, like transform them from like home studio, bedroom studio, to a professional sounding mix, is by using good effects. So without effects, it sounds like this. Open up the sky. Still decent, but with effects. Open up the sky. Come and show what I remember. So that puts it in a time and in a space, and those go to bus 1 and 2. Bus 1 is the Valhalla Vintage Verb, of course, my favorite plugin of all time. Dirty plate, 2.3 seconds decay, a little bit of pre-delay. Open up the sky. Great, just add space, a little bit of color, and then I'm adding a ping pong stereo delay. Open up the sky. Which isn't even synced to the tempo of the track, which I normally do, but it's set to 231 milliseconds, which I think is the basic, like the standard setting, but it sounds great. And that adds a little bit of stereo movement, so it makes your vocals sound bigger, adds movement and dynamics to the song. And so it's very easy. It's not like professional sounding vocals require complicated stuff, but they do require some love. And this is how you do it. And then again, it's all in the arrangement. So if I only were using one vocal, apologies again. Input monitoring is enabled by default. If you were only using one vocal track in the chorus, it would sound like this. So that's a little weak sounding, it's a little small. So if you add a double to that lead vocal and then add harmonies, then it sounds like this. Yeah, so that makes it sound completely different, and that takes it to another level. So I hope this inspires you a little bit. This gives you some context and some ideas for your own music. You might not make music like this. You might make completely different, a completely different style of music, completely different genre. But I hope you can take away some of the techniques and principles that I'm using to make great professional radio ready sounding music with just a bunch of tools. It's a bunch of equipment that I scrambled together here in my little bedroom studio in Portugal. And also let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to hear about what you think of the song, and if I should release this, yes or no. It's not finished yet, but I'm thinking about finishing it and releasing it very soon. So if you like it, let me know in the comments. I hope that's been helpful to you. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. And I'm also curious to hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from this video? Leave a comment down below. And if you need any further help, I have a free checklist that I'd like to give to you. It's called the DIY Producers Checklist that you can download for free by clicking on the link down below. And it's literally a checklist that you can go through, that you can check off, that guides you through the entire process, the 5 steps of making professional radio ready sounding music from any studio, whether you're in a bedroom, in a garage, in a airplane, or wherever you are. This checklist guides you through the principles required that I've learned over almost 20 years of working professionally in studios all over the world with a lot of hit producers as well. I've learned from a lot of people that make music for a living, and also from my experience as a music producer, as a songwriter. And so this checklist guides you through the process and gives you really specific, really helpful advice. Not just get this microphone and this interface. It's not talking about that, but it's talking about arranging. It's talking about how to add emotion and what to look for in a production. So if you need any help, please download that guide. It's absolutely free. The link is down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a long time since I've made a video, and let's see where the music takes us. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click the thumbs up button if you thought this video was helpful, and I see you really soon. Bye.